And we are officially live. Welcome, everyone, BICers, to another member spotlight. And today we have the amazing Michelle Herscu of MLHC. Michelle, how are you?
I'm great, Marshall. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone.
So I've been looking forward to this. I know we booked this a while back. I want you to, well, first of all, for everyone out there in Business Inner Circle land, whether you're watching this live or the recording of it, if you have questions, comments, please put it in the chat box, in the comment, not chat box, I guess comment box.
Yeah.
And if you're doing this, putting comments in when we are on the replay, questions from Michelle, she'll get in there, she'll answer them, that sort of thing. But you got to find out first all about Michelle and what she does. So tell us, who are you? What do you do?
Thanks so much, Marshall, again. So hello again, everyone. I'm Michelle, and I'm a chartered professional accountant. I am actually in the Toronto area. So for me, it's late afternoon right now, but I am very active in the BC community, which is how Marshall and I met. So I am an accountant. I have an accounting firm, but it's not a typical accounting, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I am a mother of two kids, 16 and 11. My son just turned 16, so that was very exciting. Yeah, I've been in the finance and accounting industry for many years. I'm close to 20 now. It hurts me to say that because then you can guess my age. But it's been a very exciting time for me. And a few years ago, I decided to step away from the corporate world and focus more on helping multiple small to medium-sized businesses, basically just using the experience that I've got and the designation and just spread the knowledge around.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. So, okay, when did you actually officially start MLHC?
About 3 years ago, officially.
Okay.
Mhm.
Big question coming up is why? So why did you leave corporate? Did you always want to be like an entrepreneur or have that entrepreneurial spirit? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I actually had a business about 10 years ago that failed big time, which I've learned from those mistakes. I don't even think I've ever mentioned that to you, Marshall, but yeah, I used to have an online clothing store.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like
So,
I was one of the first people to have ever done this, like amongst the business owners that I know. I knew nothing about it. I mismanaged it altogether. So definitely a lot of lessons learned from that, which is why I can talk about this a lot with some of my existing clients today. Don't do the mistakes that I did. And so I've always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was just kind of like waiting for the right moment.
right.
And before I quit my job, I was a CFO of a mid-sized construction company. So I was managing a team of 12 people. It was insane. It was very much hands-on, lots of involvement with operations and sales and marketing, like all the departments essentially, especially during budget time. And I think that COVID actually gave me the push that I needed to start. So yes, I hope that
Yeah.
answered your.
Well, it does, but I'm going to actually go off script here because you had a business before that you said didn't work and you learned, yeah, you had some really good learning mistakes. Do you want to share some of them that would serve maybe our members?
It was a very painful time in my life. I really went into this knowing nothing, and also keep in mind that it because it was so many years ago, we didn't have that much information online as we have today. And so I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And I started buying inventory like crazy, and just I was very active on social media back then too, with whatever, we had back then. And I actually made sales like quite a bit. But I also got into a huge cash flow deficit because I didn't know how to manage that. I did not implement stuff that I learned in school, surprisingly enough. And I didn't do a budget. I was just like, yeah, I can do this. Let's look, it's a piece of cake, right? And I even learned how to do my own website and put up all the products there. And I hired the model and a photographer. Like I went head on doing this. Like made the mistakes that all the small businesses that I work with today make.
I was just going to say that. And what I'm going to do is, for people who are watching this, if you resonate with this, don't be shy. Like, raise your hand, say yes, right? So, because that's what makes Michelle. I'm assuming with the business you're in, your past experience, successes and failures. I don't like to call them failures because if we learn from them, they're not. But honestly, like, if we're not failing, we're not trying hard enough. That's just it, right? But that's what really you bring to your clients now. Like, you get it.
Oh, I get it. More than sometimes I would like to share. I get it. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really a combination of my own failures, like you said, and just working for other corporations and kind of like bringing that experience as well of how it should be when it works properly, right? So these two together, I feel like it's has given me a lot of tools and skills to be able to give the right recommendations to the businesses that work with us, basically.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. I mean, I've had failures. Oh man, I had a clothing business just like you, offline, and I failed miserably.
Oh, really? I did not know that either.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll do a member spotlight on myself. I mean, it failed miserably, and I learned a lot from it. Right. So you mentioned the word us. Tell me about us. What does the MLHC look like? What's your main focus, and who do you really serve?
Great question. So we are a team of 4 people. So there's 2 CPAs on the team and 2 other bookkeepers. Actually, no, 3 bookkeepers. So we're 5. It's just one of them is very part-time. And so we work with, as I mentioned, small to medium-sized businesses. We do not focus on industries. So we do have a huge range of companies we work with. They could be e-commerce based, they can be retail, they can be online, they can be offline, construction, because we don't want to limit what we have to give away, like our value to clients, and say, okay, we only work with construction. No, we are open. It's more about the right fit. So if the clients are willing to work with what we would like them to, so for example, all the applications that we use and the way we structure our work, then we feel comfortable working with them as well, right? So they need to be coachable in that sense, and then willing to learn and willing to listen to recommendations, basically.
Okay, so we kind of know why you went back into business for yourself. It was during COVID and all that. Kind of who you serve. Why do you really do? I love the why. I'm all about the why.
Love the why.
I love the why. Why do I love the why? Why do you do what you do? Why are you getting up every morning? What's your why? Why do you get up and serve and consult and advise? Why?
Honestly, Marshall, it really brings me joy. I really am looking forward to that. I love seeing aha moments with my clients. When I share stuff with them and they're like, yes, oh my God, you just answered my question. Or, oh my God, I've never looked at it this way. Oh my God, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do it this way. So all of these I thrive on. And I feel like there's like in our industry, like accountants are perceived as tax people, and this is all they do. And I don't come from the tax background. That's not where I'm coming from. So while we do taxes, we provide that service, we will obviously, you know, look at ways to maximize returns, etc. I always say if your business is not successful, you're not going to have any taxes to worry about. So why look at that? Like, I think people look at it backwards. Let's look at it from like the top and then see what we can do. Like, what's your vision for the business? What are your goals, right? And then build the business around that. And I know you feel very strongly about these things as well. So I think I'm also doing this because I want to break that image of the boring accountant who only does taxes and gets back to me once a year.
Yeah.
I am motivated by that.
And I love that because, and I know we've talked about it before. So many accounting firms, and you know, and a lot of them are really good and they specialize and do their thing. And but a lot of them, for small business owners, don't really give the advice. I think I might have even told you a story. My accountant, who retired a long time ago for health reasons, when I first started, I had him for about 5 years, and he would actually do kind of like what you do. Like he would call me out of the blue. He would do reviews and everything, which my existing does not. They're not in the group, so it's okay. But he would call me and he would just say, you know, I'm noticing your cost of goods are a little higher this quarter. Let's have lunch. And he'd say, what can you cut? Is there a product line you can cut? Why is it higher? And that sort of thing. And that was great because he was a business owner. Like, he was not just a trained CPA back then, like a CA.
Yeah, exactly.
So he came from like the experience you have of being a business owner and having those challenges, which is my next question. What do you find to be the most challenging part about running your own business?
I would say it's a combination of making sure your clients are satisfied and client retention. So making sure that always happens, and making sure that your processes and your team are all in order, and then of course bringing new clients. So it's a combination of, I would say these three elements to me are the most challenging. It's like a balancing act.
Right.
Yeah.
What about this time of year, right? I know before we got on, we were talking about the R word. So how are you, but seriously, I mean, I hear it more and more, and probably about for the last 3 months. Now, obviously last year, everyone was freaking out. It was mortgage rates and inflation. And then for the last 3 months, I've even seen it just with my clients and my clients' clients. How are you responding? How are you navigating the R word? Recession, for those of you who don't catch on to my R word, whether we're in it or not in it. It's definitely a down economy.
Yes.
And I've been through many of them, as have you. And we'll bounce out of it. We always do. But I guess, how do you navigate around it, and what would you recommend for other businesses?
It's funny that, well, not a funny question at all, but I guess my answer is funny in the sense that I was actually preparing to talk about that because I was hoping you would ask me, because I do want to share some of my suggestions. But as I was typing, I realized, hold on a second, these are kind of the same things that we do on a monthly basis with our clients anyways, regardless if there's a recession or not. So so that kind of like sparked something in me. I'm like, okay, that's actually very interesting. So I guess it's doing more of what you do or what you should be doing on a monthly basis. So for example, and I always preach for that, bookkeeping.
Okay.
Bookkeeping has to be done on a regular, ongoing basis, and please use like a reputable bookkeeping company,
Mhm.
or if your accountant, has that service, use that. Make sure that it's also getting reviewed by someone else,
Okay.
because unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who claim they know how to do it, but they don't. And there are some fantastic bookkeepers out there, but you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence. And why am I saying that? Because everything starts from the numbers. If your numbers are not accurate, then your decision is going to be inaccurate as well, right? Because you mentioned with your previous accountant, the cost of goods sold. Okay, if the cost of goods sold, if the inventory is mismanaged, then that's going to screw up like all the decisions that you're making, right?
Mhm.
So we have to make sure that this is done correctly, and accurately and on an ongoing regular basis. And then I would say prepare a forecast. This is super,
Okay.
super important. Prepare a forecast as accurately as possible, for the next few months, and see where you're going to land based on the information that you have right now. For example, if you know that your biggest client is going to drop, or maybe they're going to be doing 50% of the work that they do with you these days. So how's that going to look like when you plug in the new numbers into the sales, and then cost savings, and work on a few what if scenarios. What if this happens? What if that happens? And I would actually say, if you can get financing now, is if you haven't gotten it by now, get it now, before the interest rates continue to grow and before banks become more, before they scrutinize your financials even more. So get
Interesting.
more line of credits, get more loans. I would say take it now. You don't have to use it,
Right.
but make sure that you have it in your back pocket in case you need
Interesting.
that. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but again, for all of this, you need the bookkeeping. I always say that.
But it's interesting because I know a lot of people in a recession or a down economy, the first thing normally, and we're not talking about that today, but the first thing people cut is usually marketing. And I think one of the other things people cut are things like bookkeeping, because they think those are like, it's almost like having, not comparing a bookkeeper to having your house cleaned, but a lot of people will cut stuff like that. They think they're like benefits of having a
Wrong.
bookkeeper. I know that, that. And then so they thought, okay, I could just do it myself. I'll just figure it out myself. I'll save myself a few $100s a month, or 500 or 1,000 or whatever it is, and I'll just do the books myself. I'll cut my marketing. We don't need to do advertising. Wrong. Now's the
100%
time when
wrong.
now's when you should be.
Yes. Especially with marketing, by the way. I strongly believe
Yes.
now is the time. And you
Yeah.
know what? Because you actually probably maybe have less sales, you have less stuff to do in the business, right?
Yeah.
So now is actually a good time to revamp your social media and put more emphasis on marketing and advertising.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also have more time on your hands. Yes,
Well,
you have less. I
you
mean,
have,
maybe.
well, yeah, whether you do or you don't, the fact is your competitors are probably doing what most people do, and that is cutting their marketing costs. Right. So this is the opportunity to stand out. And it's every time there's a recession, the stories always come out. Like most, maybe not looking at them now because they're whatever, but still, like most successful companies, or many successful companies, were started in a recession or in a down economy, and that's how they made it. So yeah, I love your advice, those tips.
And also,
Um,
by the way, there are companies that are struggling right now, and they might be looking for an exit plan. So if you do have some extra cash, and you
yeah,
might,
yeah,
maybe you can, acquire a new company.
yeah, yeah. Nope, 100%. I did. I didn't. Well, I didn't acquire another company during COVID, but I acquired people.
Yeah.
Right. My sales were down. Like, trust me. Like, after like the first sort of like big push of all the COVID graphics and all that stuff, which was like nuts, and we were really busy, then it kind of like
Yeah.
whatever. But that's when all these people were available in the industry with experience in the sign industry that weren't available before. And I decided I'm going to snap them up because I'm going to need them. Right. And it was the best thing I ever did, because normally before COVID, finding trained people was very, industry specific. With the obviously first I hire character first, but then with the skill set was very difficult to find.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So invest. I think just invest. Right. Invest in your
Invest.
business. In your business.
Yeah, and make sure you from the receivable standpoint, make sure you obviously try to get faster payouts from your customers. Okay. And it's actually also a good opportunity to renegotiate your payment terms with your vendors, because they want to get paid, right? But everybody is in recession, so now is a good time to say, I can't pay you, cash, but let's do net 30 or net 45. So then maybe you can get cash faster and paid slower. So that's another opportunity that you need to look into.
I think the other thing, I'm not doing the member spotlight, but one thing I would also recommend to people, so you can challenge me on this if you'd like, is stop looking at that there's a recession.
Yeah.
Because there's something called the self-fulfilling prophecy. And if we go around thinking there's a recession, you're going to start showing up like that. So yes, you need to I'm not saying bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of it and say, oh, yes, there's a recession. How can we actually leverage this? What can we do? Exactly. And it might have to be adding more value to our clients. Right. But yeah, and definitely acquisitions. I mean, there's always opportunities.
Exactly. So. Exactly. How it's exactly what you just said. How can we take advantage of the situation and flip it? Yeah. Yeah. I'm just noticing this because of this screen. I'm like noticing this weird stuff around I have gray hair, but it's like, I don't know what this stuff is in between these shadows. Okay. So I asked you what's most challenging. What do you find to be the most rewarding part about being your own boss, having your own biz? Okay, so the most rewarding, and I've talked about that before, is really getting just having satisfied clients. That to me is the most rewarding thing. Like honestly, it makes me feel really, really good, because then I know that I bring them value. Okay. So there's that aspect, but then in terms of like being my own boss, obviously there's advantages and disadvantages, but one of the biggest ones is I can be accountable for myself and my own time. I don't need people to tell me what to do, right? And it's great that, yes, I still work crazy hours. I still work on weekends if I have to, but I am still at the end of the day ultimately managing my own time. And if I need to step out to do stuff, I can, and I don't need to, report to anyone. So from that perspective, it just it makes me feel better. I need my space. Let's put it like that.
Right. No, okay. No, I like that. Okay. Here's the question. One of our final questions. That's that sort of famous question. If you knew then what you know now, what would you have done differently when you first started?
It's an interesting question that I actually see sometimes people ask, if you knew at 20 what you know today, what would you have done differently?
Yep.
My answer is the same. Nothing. I would go through the same path, because we need to go through mistakes. We need to go through paths that we shouldn't have taken to learn where we need to be. So I don't believe in shortcuts. Yeah. I don't believe in shortcuts. And I think the only thing I would do is tell myself, you're going to be just fine. That's it. That's it.
You can, yeah, I like that. Tell the younger Michelle, not that you're not young, the younger Michelle, it's going to be fine.
You're going to be just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Any other words of wisdom? My father used to say golden nuggets you'd like to share with our people?
Okay, so going back to what I just mentioned, I don't believe in shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that everything in life that's worth having, you have to work your, butt off. If I may say that on Facebook. Nothing comes easily.
You can't GPT everything.
Yeah, exactly. You can definitely use that, but you still need to supervise it and make sure that it follows the guidelines. And I think that as long as you have a vision that's clear in your head, and you have the right people to help you. So people like yourself, for example, the right mentors, the right coaches, the right bookkeepers, whatever you need to put around you. I think that anyone can be successful in owning their own business. It's all here. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a golden nugget, but
that's
my book.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's all about building the team around you.
Yes, because you can't do it by yourself.
No,
you cannot.
And that's a challenge because there are a lot of people who I call have the employee mindset. They decide to leave their corporate job or whatever the job was and start. It's like the E-Myth, right? And they start business for themselves, and then they're in it, like in the E-Myth, doing it themselves, doing everything themselves, and they think that that's the way it is. And basically, they just bought themselves a job, which is fine for some people. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're fine, if you don't want growth, you don't want to grow, and but you are limited. So the more you can bring people around you. Here's a question I just popped into my head, and it's more specific for you, like for your industry. We've talked about this before, but there are a lot of accounting firms out there, a lot of bookkeeping firms, a lot of independent bookkeepers, a lot of independent accountants. What should people who are watching this, and I'm serious, like they might be doing it themselves, or they might be with a big firm. What should they expect out of working with an accountant and bookkeeper, especially more on the accounting? Because a bookkeeper, I know a bookkeeper can come in, but they're limited. A lot of them just do the numbers, enter the payables, enter all that, take care of payroll and all that. But what should they expect from both, I guess?
I'll tell you what my vision is in terms of what they should be seeing on an ongoing basis.
Perfect. Yeah.
They should be getting their financial statements on a regular monthly basis.
Okay.
It should be accompanied with a few words about their performance and if there are any red flags. It should also have a recommendation of how much money to set aside for taxes or for GST or PST. They should definitely have, at the very, very minimum, twice a year meetings with their accountant at the minimum. And they should also be expecting to have some planning put in place, not just for taxes, just for and again, this is only if they are interested in growing their business, okay? Right. They should get that help from their accountants / bookkeepers, because that's where it's all, before they hire everyone else to do their own part in that growth plan. This is my opinion. Most people are okay with seeing their accountant once a year and getting their advice 6 months into their new fiscal year. That's fine. But that's not
I agree. I agree. So having saying that, if people want to learn more about you and all that you can do for them and their business, or just whatever they call it, a Zoom coffee
Yeah.
with you, how can they get a hold of you?
I don't know, can I put my
You can,
social
yes.
media on? Okay,
Yeah. When you
okay,
see,
so
yes, so you can put it in the comment section when you see the video for sure.
perfect,
That's,
perfect. So I
that's
will
fine.
add that there. They can also reach out on Facebook, just my first and last name. I'm there. I think I'm the only person on Facebook with that name, so it's easily found. Same on LinkedIn.
Okay, good.
And that's it. Very easy. And I will leave my
Awesome.
other contact information in the chat box when the video is uploaded.
That's awesome. It's uploaded because it's streaming, so it's there. But it has
True.
to save once we finish this. But yeah, so awesome. Put that in there. And any last minute parting thoughts for our members?
Just that I really wanted to thank you again, Marshall, for this wonderful opportunity, and that it is lovely to be part of your network.
Well, thank you,
And I
Michelle.
feel very lucky.
Well, and I with you, and it was good to finally meet you. We met back in, I guess, was it just December, January? When did we meet?
February.
It was February. One of the snowfalls, right? One of the snowfalls we had here.
I know, the only ones.
Only one. That's right. Didn't, yeah, it was, yeah. Well, we had a big one in December and then it came back in February just for you. Because we thought,
Just for me.
coming from Toronto, we have to snow. We have to do it. Just so you felt at home. We're so warm and welcoming here on the West Coast.
That's true. Yeah, I felt the fuzziness.
The fuzz. So that was awesome. So anyways, thank you very much, Michelle. It's been amazing having you here. And thank
you,
you.
Marshall.
And for the rest of you who would like to be featured as a member in or in the member spotlight, we are booking into, I believe, December of next year, November, December. But
Wow.
I know. But so you have time to be prepared. Just reach out to me and we'll get you into an upcoming member spotlight. Until then, everyone, have great week, great rest of, well, summer too, but we'll see you in next month with another member spotlight, and reach out to Michelle. Seriously, yeah, if you have any questions, she's awesome. And,
Feeling is mutual.
oh, thank you. I get questions in, guys, seriously, get questions in the Facebook, in the comment section as well, if you have questions for Michelle. Anyways, that's it. Take care. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.